You wake up tired, not from lack of sleep, but from the weight of your own thoughts. Every day, your mind runs faster, chasing control, approval, certainty, and losing all three. You scroll, you compare, you plan, yet you can't breathe. The Stoics warned us about this 2,000 years ago. They called it slavery of the mind, the chaos that comes when you forget what's truly in your control. This isn't weakness, it's conditioning. And today, we strip it away, layer by layer, until you remember what real peace feels like. Before we begin, subscribe to Stoic audiobooks. No noise, no fluff, just the discipline and wisdom that rebuild men. Chapter 1. The storm you carry. You wake up and the war's already started. Before the coffee, before the shower, before you've done a single thing wrong, your mind is listing everything that could go wrong. The presentation, the text you haven't answered, the bill that's coming, the conversation you need to have, the body you're disappointed in, the life that feels like it's slipping. This is your normal. This is modern anxiety. You scroll your phone and watch other men perform confidence they don't feel. You see the highlight reels, the muscle flexing, the money flashing, the women smiling. Everyone's winning except you. Everyone's figured it out except you. The algorithm feeds you more success, more pressure, more evidence that you're behind. Your grandfather didn't live like this. His anxiety had a face, a predator, a winter without food, a war with an enemy, real threats with real solutions, fight or die, work or starve. The stakes were clear. Your anxiety has no face. It lives in possibilities, in what-ifs, in the 1,000 futures you're trying to control before they happen. You're fighting ghosts, shadows, threats that may never materialize but feel more real than the ground under your feet. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome and understood this. He commanded armies, managed an empire, held the lives of millions in his decisions. He had every reason for anxiety to destroy him. Instead, he wrote at night in his tent, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Not positive thinking, not manifestation, not pretending the threats aren't real. Separation. He saw the truth you've forgotten. Most of what torments you exists only in your head. Not because the problems aren't real. Some are, but because you've confused imagination with reality. You've given future possibilities the weight of present facts. You're exhausted, fool. Rom battles that haven't started. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your nervous system treats every worried thought like a physical threat. Your heart races over an email. Your stomach knots over a conversation that might happen next week. Your sleep dissolves into planning and replaying and rehearsing scenarios that will never occur exactly as you imagine them. This is the violence of modern life. Not fists, not blood. Just your own mind eating you alive while you sit in traffic, lie in bed, stand in the shower trying to wash away thoughts that have nothing to do with dirt. Epictetus was born a slave, physically chained, beaten, owned by another man. He had every justification for despair, for rage, for the kind of anxiety that breaks a man's spirit. Instead, he discovered something that made him freer than his master. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. You have more physical freedom than Epictetus ever dreamed of. You can walk out your door, drive anywhere, start over in a new city, no chains, no master, yet you feel trapped in ways he never did. Because your chains are internal. The anxiety isn't happening to you, you're creating it. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but through a habit of mind so ingrained you don't even notice it anymore. You've trained yourself to suffer over things that haven't happened, might not happen, or happened already and can't be changed. This pattern has a name. The Stoics called it fantasia, the mental impressions that appear in your mind and demand your reaction. Modern psychology calls them intrusive thoughts, catastrophic thinking, rumination, Different words, same trap. Here's what changes everything. You don't have to believe every thought that crosses your mind. That sounds simple. It's not. You've spent your entire life treating thoughts as truth. If you think it, it must matter. If you feel it, it must mean something. If your mind screams danger, there must be danger. But your mind lies, not from malice, from design. Your brain evolved to keep you alive, not happy. It scans for threats constantly. It remembers every failure, every embarrassment, every close call. It takes one bad experience and projects it onto every similar situation forever. This kept your ancestors alive when tigers were real. Now it keeps you anxious when the only tiger is an upcoming meeting. The Stoics saw this 2 millennia before brain scans and neuroscience. They understood that the mind creates suffering through its own activity. Not through external circumstances, through interpretation, projection, and identification with every passing mental event. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't being poetic. He was stating a fact you can verify right now. Think about the last time you were truly anxious, not during the actual event, before it, or after it. The anxiety lived in the space between what happened and what you imagined about it. The meeting that kept you up all night? It lasted 30 minutes and went fine. The conversation you rehearsed 40 times? It took 5 minutes and wasn't that deep. The rejection you feared? It happened, you survived, and a month later it barely registers. Yet you spent hours, maybe days, suffering over these moments, not during them, before and after them, in your head, where anxiety does its real damage. This is the first truth you must swallow. Most of your suffering is optional, not all of it. Real pain exists, real loss, real hardship. But the vast majority of your daily anxiety is self-inflicted through the stories you tell yourself about what's happening, what might happen, and what it all means about you. The Stoic path is different. It doesn't promise to remove anxiety. It promises something better, the strength to walk through it without being destroyed, to face your mind without flinching, to see your thoughts for what they are, mental events, not commands, suggestions, not orders, weather patterns, not permanent climate. This is the ancient philosophy that predicted your modern anxiety, not because the Stoics were prophets, because they understood something about human nature that hasn't changed in 2,000 years. The mind, left untrained, will torture you with possibilities while ignoring the reality right in front of you. Your grandfather's anxiety had a solution. Action. Fix the problem. Kill the threat. Solve it or die trying. Your anxiety demands something harder. Wisdom. The ability to see clearly. To distinguish between what you can control and what you can't. To act where action matters and accept where it doesn't. This isn't passivity. It's precision. It's refusing to waste your strength on battles you can't win, so you have everything left for the ones that matter. The storm you carry isn't outside you. It's between your ears. And unlike the weather, unlike your circumstances, unlike every external force in your life, this storm answers to you. The question isn't whether you can calm it. The question is whether you're finally ready to learn how. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Control. You wake up planning. The day hasn't started and you're already 3 moves ahead, playing chess with life, trying to arrange reality to match the picture in your head. This is the game you can't win. Not because you're not smart enough, not because you're not working hard enough, but because the rules you're playing by don't exist. You think you're supposed to control outcomes. You think that's what strength looks like. You think if you just plan better, work harder, anticipate more, you'll finally get the life to cooperate. Life doesn't cooperate. It never has. Epictetus spent his entire philosophy on one distinction: what's up to you and what's not. Sounds obvious. It's the thing most men never learn. You spend your energy trying to control what you can't, and you neglect what you can. This isn't just inefficient. It's the root of your suffering. What's up to you? Your effort, your attitude, your response, your character, your choices in this moment. What's not up to you? Everything else. That promotion, not up to you. You can prepare, you can perform, you can be the best candidate, but you don't control the decision. Someone else does. You're playing your part in a game where you don't hold all the pieces. That relationship? Not up to you. You can be a good man, you can communicate, you can show up, but you can't control whether she stays, whether she chooses you, whether she grows in the same direction. Her heart is hers, not yours. Your reputation? Not up to you. You can act with integrity, you can be honest, you can do the right thing. But you can't control what people say about you, what they believe, how they interpret your intentions. Their opinions live in their heads, not yours. Even your body isn't fully yours to control. You can train it, feed it, rest it, but you can't stop it from aging, from getting sick, from eventually failing. Mortality isn't a mindset problem, it's a fact. This is hard to accept. Your entire life, you've been sold the opposite message. You can be anything. You can achieve anything. You're in control. Just want it bad enough. Just work hard enough. Just manifest it into existence. All lies. Not because ambition is wrong, not because effort doesn't matter, but because the modern mythology around control is toxic. It sets you up for perpetual disappointment and anxiety because it promises you power over things you'll never control. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire and knew this intimately. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This wasn't philosophical speculation. This was survival wisdom from a man who watched plague kill millions, who fought wars he didn't start, who dealt with betrayal from people he trusted. He learned the brutal way. You control almost nothing. But what you do control is everything. Your response, your interpretation, your effort, your character in the face of circumstances. This is your domain. This is where your power lives, not in forcing outcomes, but in choosing who you'll be regardless of outcomes. Most men invert this. They obsess over results, the things they can't control, and neglect their character, the thing they can. They lie awake worrying about whether they'll get the job instead of focusing on whether they prepared with integrity. They stress about whether she'll text back instead of focusing on whether they showed up as their best self. They panic about future catastrophes instead of handling the present moment with discipline. This is exhausting. It's also pointless. You're pouring energy into a void, trying to control people who won't be controlled. Outcomes that depend on 1,000 variables beyond your reach. Future scenarios that exist only in your imagination. You're spending everything you have on things that don't answer to you. Meanwhile, the things you can control, your thoughts, your effort, your response, your character, get scraps. You'll spend 3 hours worrying about a conversation, but won't spend 30 minutes preparing for it. You'll lose sleep over whether you'll succeed, but won't examine whether you're doing the work that earns success. You'll panic about rejection, but won't face the truth about whether you're showing up as someone worth choosing. This imbalance is killing you. Seneca wrote to his friend, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable, not because the future doesn't matter, because anxiety about it is useless. The future isn't here. You can't touch it, shape it, or control it from where you stand. You can only control what you do now. The rest is imagination." But your mind doesn't want to hear this. Your mind wants guarantees. It wants to know that if you do, X, Y will happen. It wants the formula, the promise, the insurance policy against uncertainty. This is why you plan obsessively, why you overthink, why you try to control everything down to the smallest detail. You're trying to make life predictable. It never will be. The Stoics didn't advocate for passivity. They weren't telling you to give up, to stop trying, to accept defeat. They were telling you to redirect your power where it actually works, to stop fighting unwinnable battles and start winning the one that matters, the battle for your own mind. Here's the practice. When anxiety rises, ask one question. Is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. Not because you don't care, because caring won't change it. Your boss's decision, her feelings, the economy, other people's opinions, tomorrow's events, None of these belong to you. Worrying about them is like trying to change the weather by getting angry at the sky. If it is within your control, act. Don't plan endlessly. Don't overthink. Don T. Wait for perfect circumstances. Do what you can with what you have right now. Then let the outcome be what it will be. This sounds simple. It's the hardest thing you'll ever practice. Your ego hates this. Your ego wants credit. It wants to believe you're more powerful than you are. It wants to take credit for success and assign blame for failure. It wants to feel like you're driving the ship, not just choosing your response to the waves. But the waves don't care about your ego. They'll break how they break. Your job isn't to control them. It's to stay on your feet when they hit. This is why Stoicism was born in chaos. Marcus Aurelius practiced it during plague and war. Epictetus learned it in slavery. Seneca refined it while navigating the insanity of Nero's court. These weren't men in ivory towers theorizing about life. They were men in the arena dealing with real stakes, real danger, real loss. They learned what you're learning now. The only sustainable strength is internal. External circumstances will always be mixed, sometimes favorable, sometimes brutal, sometimes random. If your peace depends on things going your way, you'll never have peace, because things won't always go your way. But if your peace depends on your character, on your ability to respond with integrity regardless of circumstances, then you're building something unshakable, something that doesn't need perfect conditions, something that can weather any storm because it's not made of circumstances, it's made of choice. This is the freedom Epictetus found in chains. Not physical freedom, he didn't have that. Freedom from needing circumstances to be different than they are. Freedom from the tyranny of outcomes. Freedom to be a good man, regardless of whether good things happen. You have more physical freedom than he ever did. But are you free in the way that matters? Can you do your best work in SO, except that it might not be recognized? Can you love someone fully knowing they might leave? Can you build something knowing it might fail? Can you show up with integrity even when no one's watching, even when it costs you, even when the rewards aren't guaranteed? This is the test, not whether you can control outcomes, whether you can control yourself when outcomes don't cooperate. Most men fail this test daily. They rage at traffic. They spiral over delays. They crumble when things don't go as planned. They attach their peace to circumstances and then wonder why they're never at peace. The Stoic does something different. He doesn't expect the universe to bend to his will. He doesn't need it to. He's built something stronger than circumstances, character that doesn't depend on external validation. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you resilient. You can still care deeply, love fully, work intensely, but your worth isn't on the line every time you do. You're not negotiating with reality. You're responding to it with everything you've got and accepting the outcome as information, not judgment. The illusion of control is seductive because it feels like power, but it's a trap. It keeps you stuck in a game you can't win, fighting battles that drain you, attaching your peace to variables you'll never control. Real power is simpler, narrower, more focused. Do what's yours to do. Let the rest be what it will be. Act with discipline. Accept with grace. Control yourself. Release everything else. This is the wisdom that kept men sane through empires falling, plagues spreading, wars raging. It's the same wisdom that will keep you sane through whatever modern chaos you're facing. The storms will come. You don't control that, but you control whether they find you standing or crumbling. And that's the only control that ever mattered. Chapter 3. The Discipline of Desire. You want everything now. The success, the body, the respect, the money, the woman, the life that looks like you've made it. This wanting is destroying you. Not because desire is wrong, because your desires are untrained, wild, scattered, pulling you in 1,000 directions at once, each one promising fulfillment, none of them delivering. You're chasing what will never satisfy you and ignoring what might actually set you free. The Stoics understood this. They called it orexis, desire, and they knew it was the battlefield where most men lose themselves, not through having too little, through wanting too much, through attaching happiness to outcomes that don't answer to your will. Epictetus was blunt about it. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. But you're doing the opposite. You're attaching your worth, your peace, your happiness to things outside your control, and then wondering why you're anxious, why you're never satisfied, why every win feels empty, and every loss feels like the end of the world. Your desires own you. You don't own them. Look at what you want right now. Really look. How much of it is genuine need versus manufactured want? How much comes from you versus from the algorithm feeding you images of what successful men are supposed to have? How much of your ambition is yours, and how much is just running from the fear that you're not enough without it? You want the car. Why? Because it moves you from one place to another, or because of what you think it says about you. You want the promotion. Why? Because you genuinely want that responsibility, or because you need external validation that you're valuable. You want her. Why? Because she's truly compatible, or because she's attractive and you think having her will prove something about you? These questions how? They should. Because most of your desires aren't yours. They're borrowed, programmed, sold to you by people profiting from your insecurity. Modern life is designed to make you want more. The entire economy runs on manufactured discontent. Make him feel like he's not enough. Show him men with more. Tell him he's incomplete without this product, this achievement, this lifestyle. Keep him chasing. Keep him anxious. Keep him buying. You're caught in the machine. Scrolling feeds that show you everyone doing better. Algorithms that highlight your gaps. Content designed to make you feel behind. Every ad, every post, every image, subtly communicating the same message. You're not there yet. You need more. You're not enough as you are. And you believe it. You internalize it. You make it your mission to close the gap, to get what they have, to become who they appear to be. You hustle. You grind. You sacrifice sleep, health, relationships, all for goals you didn't even choose. You're running a race you never agreed to, toward a finish line that moves every time you get close. This is how desire becomes suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions, not his achievements, his ambitions, because ambition reveals character. What you chase tells the truth about what you value. And if what you value is applause, if what you value is appearance, if what you value is keeping up, then your worth is built on sand." The Stoics practice something radical. Desire discipline, not the elimination of desire, that's impossible and unhealthy, but the training of it. Teaching your desires to align with what's actually good for you instead of what's shiny, what builds character instead of just image, what lasts instead of what impresses. This starts with a hard truth. Most of what you want won't make you happy. The money, the status, the achievement, the validation. You've been chasing these things your whole life, and every time you get one, what happens? A brief high, then emptiness, then the next target. The goalpost moves. The satisfaction fades. You're back where you started, just with better things around you and the same hollow feeling inside. You already know this. You've experienced it. The thing you wanted desperately. Once you got it, it didn't fix what you thought it would fix. It didn't make you feel complete. It didn't make the anxiety go away. It didn't prove you were enough. Because external things can't do internal work. You can't achieve your way out of insecurity. You can't buy your way out of emptiness. You can't fuck your way out of loneliness. You can't earn enough status to silence the voice that says you're not enough. These are internal problems. They require internal solutions. But internal work doesn't sell. It doesn't photograph well. You can't flex discipline. You can't post your character development. You can't show off the work you're doing on your mind. So you chase the external instead, hoping it will fill the internal void. It won't. It never has. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." You know men with everything who are miserable. You know men with nothing who are at peace. The difference isn't circumstances, it's desire, whether your happiness depends on getting more or on being content with enough. This doesn't mean you stop working. It doesn't mean you stop building. It means you work for different reasons, not to prove yourself, not to fill a void, not to keep up with other men, but because the work itself has value, because building something matters independent of recognition, because excellence is worth pursuing for its own sake, not for the applause it might generate. This is the shift, from wanting outcomes to wanting virtue, from chasing external validation to cultivating internal worth, from needing more to being enough right now while still becoming better. The discipline of desire means examining every want, asking, where does this come from? What am I really after? Will having this actually improve my life or just my image? Am I chasing this or running from something? Most of your desires don't survive this scrutiny. They collapse when you look at them directly. The want evaporates when you remove the fantasy. What's left is usually much simpler than what you thought you needed. You don't need the luxury car. You need reliable transportation. You don't need the huge house. You need shelter and space. You don't need designer clothes. You need to be clean and well-maintained. You don't need everyone's approval. You need your own. The rest is decoration. Useful sometimes, sure, but not the thing your happiness should depend on. Not the measure of your worth. Not the goal that justifies sacrificing everything else. The Stoics trained themselves to want only what was within their control and aligned with virtue. Not wealth for its own sake, but the character that earns it honestly. Not fame, but the integrity that makes respect meaningful. Not pleasure, but the discipline that makes pleasure sustainable. This inverts everything. Instead of shaping your character to get what you want, you shape your wants to match your character. Instead of becoming whoever you need to be to achieve external goals, you achieve only what aligns with who you truly want to become. This is freedom, real freedom. Not having everything, wanting only what's good for you, not getting everything you desire, desiring only what you can get through right action. Your desires right now are probably making you a slave. Slave to status, slave to opinion, slave to the next hit of validation, slave to the images in your head of what success looks like. You think you're chasing freedom, but every desire that depends on external circumstances is another chain. The discipline of desire cuts those chains. One at a time, it asks, do I need this, or do I just want it? Will this make me better, or just look better? Am I pursuing this from strength, or running from weakness? Hard questions. Most men avoid them. It's easier to keep chasing, keep hustling, keep telling yourself that the next achievement will finally be enough. But you already know it won't be. The pattern's been repeating your whole life. Different goals, same emptiness. The Stoic path offers something different. Not more, better. Not success measured by external metrics, but character measured by internal ones. Not happiness dependent on circumstances, but peace that exists regardless of them. This requires you to want less, or more accurately, to want differently. To want what's within your control, what builds virtue, what lasts, what can't be taken from you. Everything else is borrowed, temporary, subject to forces you can't control. Your desire for it will bring only anxiety and disappointment. Today you have it. Tomorrow it's gone. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they forget. Today she's yours. Tomorrow she's not. Only character stays. Only virtue remains. Only the man you choose to be in each moment is truly yours. This is what the Stoics trained themselves to desire. Not the applause of the crowd, but the approval of their own conscience. Not the achievement that impresses others, but the effort that it builds them. Not the outcome they can't control, but the response that proves their character. You can do this too. You can train your desires. You can stop wanting what will never satisfy you. You can start pursuing what actually matters. But first, you have to see the truth. Most of what you want is killing you, and everything you actually need is already within reach. Chapter 4. Suffering You Choose. You're in pain. Some of it is inevitable. The rest? You're creating it. And you won't admit this because admitting it means taking responsibility for something you'd rather blame on circumstances, on other people, on anything but yourself. But the Stoics were clear. Most suffering is optional. Not all suffering. Real pain exists. Loss, grief, physical hardship, betrayal. These are part of life. You don't choose them. They happen. But your suffering, the rumination, the resentment, the stories you tell yourself about what happened and what it means, that's yours. You're authoring that. You're keeping it alive. Epictetus put it simply. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. The event is neutral. Your interpretation creates the suffering. The same circumstance can break one man and strengthen another. The difference isn't the circumstance, it's the response. You know this is true. You've seen it. Two men lose their jobs. One spirals into depression, drinks himself numb, blames the world. The other adapts, rebuilds, uses the hardship as fuel. Same event, different suffering. Why? Because suffering isn't what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. But your mind resists this. Your mind wants to be a victim, not because you're weak, but because victimhood is comfortable. It absolves you of responsibility. If you're just the victim of circumstances, of bad luck, of other people's choices, then you're off the hook. You don't have to change. You don't have to grow. You can just nurse your wounds and collect sympathy. This is a trap. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you suffering. Because as long as you're the victim, you're powerless. You're waiting for circumstances to change, for other people to apologize, for life to finally be fair. You're giving away your power to forces outside you. The Stoic does the opposite. He takes radical responsibility, not for what happened. He didn't choose that. For his response, for the meaning he assigns, for whether he lets this destroy him or build him. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, plague, war, loss. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He didn't pretend hardship wasn't hard. He transformed it. He found the lesson, the strength, the opportunity hidden in the obstacle. You can do this too, but first, you have to stop lying to yourself about where your suffering comes from. Look at what's making you miserable right now. Really look. How much of it is the actual event, and how much is the story you're telling yourself about the event? She left. That's the event. The suffering is the story. I'm not good enough. I'll never find someone else. I'm unlovable. I wasted years. I'm a failure. The event happened once. The story. You're replaying it 1,000 times, each repetition digging the wound deeper. You didn't get the promotion. That's the event. The suffering is the story. They don't value me. I'm stuck. I'll never advance. They gave it to someone less qualified. It's not fair. The decision was made once. The resentment? You're feeding it daily. Someone criticized you. That's the event. The suffering is the story. They're attacking me. They don't understand. Everyone's against me. I can't trust anyone. They spoke once. You're still arguing with them in your head weeks later. This is how you create your own suffering. Not through the events themselves, but through the meaning you attach to them, the narratives you construct, the identity you form around what happened. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was right. You're suffering more from your thoughts about what happened than from what actually happened. The event is over. The suffering continues because you won't let it go. Why won't you let it go? Because letting it go means accepting what you can't change. It means releasing the fantasy that if you just think about it enough, replay it enough, argue with it enough in your mind, somehow it will be different. It won't be. It happened. It's done. The only thing still in motion is your mind torturing itself over something that's already passed. This is the hardest practice. Acceptance. Not agreement. Not approval. Just acceptance. This happened. I can't change it. I can only choose what I do next. Most men would rather suffer than accept. Suffering feels like doing something. Acceptance feels like giving up. But it's the opposite. Suffering is passive. You're stuck in what happened, replaying the past, resenting what you can't change. Acceptance is active. You're moving forward, learning from what happened, building something new. The Stoics practiced amor fati, love of fate. Not because everything that happens is good, because fighting what already happened is pointless. The energy you spend resisting reality is energy you could spend responding to it. This doesn't mean you don't feel the pain. You feel it, fully, but you don't add to it. You don't multiply it with stories about what it means about you, about life, about your future. You let the pain be what it is, a response to loss, without creating suffering on top of it. Pain says, "This hurts." Suffering says, "This hurt shouldn't have happened. It's not fair. It's ruined everything. I'll never recover. I'm broken now. Why does this always happen to me?" See the difference? Pain is clean. Suffering is dirty. Pain is the body's natural response. Suffering is the mind's manufactured drama. You're carrying suffering you don't need to carry. Resentments from years ago, regrets about choices you can't unmake, anger at people who've forgotten about you, shame about mistakes that no one else remembers. You're holding on to these like they're precious, like letting them go would mean the person or the event didn't matter. But holding on to suffering doesn't honor what happened. It just keeps you trapped in it. There's a practice for this. The Stoics called it negative visualization. Before something happens, imagine losing it. Not to be pessimistic, but to reduce attachment. To remind yourself that everything is temporary, that loss is part of life. That appreciation comes from recognizing impermanence. You do the opposite. You assume everything will last. The relationship, the job, the health, the opportunity. Then when you lose it, you're destroyed. Not just by the loss itself, but by the shock, by the feeling that this shouldn't happen, that life violated some guarantee you thought you had. Life guaranteed you nothing. Everything you have is borrowed, temporary, on loan. The job can end. The relationship can end. The health can fail. This isn't pessimism, it's realism. And strangely, accepting this makes you appreciate what you have more, not less. When you know something is temporary, you treat it differently. You don't take it for granted. You don't waste time. You show up fully because you know this moment isn't guaranteed to repeat. This is how the Stoics transform suffering into strength. Not by pretending pain doesn't exist, but by refusing to multiply it with stories. Not by avoiding hardship, but by using it as training. Every loss taught something. Every failure revealed a weakness to strengthen. Every betrayal clarified who deserved trust. You can do this, but you have to stop indulging in your suffering. Stop rehearsing your grievances. Stop collecting evidence that life is unfair. It is unfair. It always has been. The question isn't whether you got a raw deal. The question is what you're going to do about it. The man who takes responsibility for his suffering takes back his power. He stops waiting for the world to change and starts changing his response. He stops demanding fairness and starts demanding excellence from himself, regardless of what he receives. This is hard. It requires you to give up the comfort of victimhood, the ease of blame, the social currency of suffering. It requires you to stand alone and say, "This is my life, these are my circumstances, and I choose how I respond." Most men won't do this. They'll stay stuck, waiting for apologies that won't come, justice that won't arrive, circumstances that won't change. They'll die bitter, having spent their entire lives suffering over things they could have released at any moment. You don't have to be that man. You can choose differently right now. Not later, not when things get better, not when you feel ready. Now, in this moment, with things exactly as they are. The suffering you carry is yours. No one can take it from you, but also no one can remove it but you. The choice has always been yours. The power has always been in your hands. The only question is whether you're finally ready to use it. Chapter 5. The Weapon of Indifference. They want to hurt you. They want you angry. They want you defensive, reactive, spiraling. They want you to care what they think, what they say, how they judge you. This is their power over you, your need for their approval. The Stoics had a word for the antidote: apatheia. Not apathy in the modern sense, not disconnection or numbness, indifference. The trained ability to remain unmoved by things that don't deserve your emotion, to let the insults bounce, to watch the provocations slide past, to stand in the center of chaos without being pulled into it. This is a weapon, the most powerful one you have, because the moment you stop caring what they think, they lose their ability to control you. Epictetus was blunt. If someone speaks badly of you, consider whether what they say is true. If it is, correct it. If it isn't, laugh at it. Simple, brutal, effective. The insult only has power if you give it power. If it's true, use it. If it's false, ignore it. Either way, you're in control. But you're not doing this. You're feeding the trolls, defending yourself against people whose opinions don't matter, arguing with strangers online, replaying criticism in your head, changing your behavior to avoid judgment, performing for an audience that will never be satisfied. You're a slave to opinion. This is killing your peace. Every day you're giving away your mental real estate to people who don't pay rent. They live in your head. They shape your choices. They determine your mood. A stranger's comment ruins your morning. A coworker's attitude derails your focus. Someone's judgment makes you question yourself. Why do you give them this power? Because you're still seeking external validation. You still believe that what other people think about you matters more than what you think about yourself. You still measure your worth by their approval. This is the trap. As long as you need their validation, they control you. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and understood this. He wrote, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." He saw the paradox. You claim to value yourself, but you let others define your worth. This is the sickness of the modern age. You're performing constantly, curating, filtering, editing yourself for consumption. You post and wait. You speak and watch for reactions. You share and scan for validation. Every action is calculated for how it will be received. You're not living, you're auditioning. For what? For whom? For approval from people who are doing the same thing? For validation from strangers who will forget you in seconds? For respect from people who don't respect themselves? This is madness, and you know it, but you keep doing it because the alternative, indifference, feels wrong. It feels cold, arrogant, antisocial. Like you're supposed to care what people think. Like caring is compassion and not caring is cruelty. But that's not what indifference means. Indifference means discriminating, deciding what deserves your emotional investment and what doesn't, caring deeply about things that matter and refusing to waste energy on things that don't, loving the people who earn it and being unmoved by the opinions of people who haven't. This is wisdom, not detachment, precision. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." He wasn't talking about coddling yourself from criticism. He was talking about using real criticism and ignoring noise. There's a difference. Real criticism comes from people who know you, care about you, and want you to grow. It's specific. It's constructive. It points to behavior, not character. It comes from love, not malice. This deserves your attention. This is the friction that polishes you. Noise comes from everyone else. Strangers with agendas. Insecure people projecting their failures. Cowards hiding behind screens. People who don't know you, don't care about you, and wouldn't help you if they could. This deserves nothing. Not your defense, not your anger, not your time. But you're treating all criticism the same. You're giving the troll the same weight as your mentor. You're defending yourself against random comments with the same intensity you'd defend against real threats. You're exhausting yourself fighting battles that don't matter. This is where indifference becomes strength. You stop defending. You stop explaining. You stop caring whether people understand you, agree with you, or approve of you. You do what's right and let them think what they will. This feels dangerous. It feels like you're giving up, like you're letting them win, but it's the opposite. Engaging is letting them win. Every response proves they got to you. Every defense shows they have power over you. Every argument confirms that their opinion matters to you. Silence, on the other hand, is dominance. It says, "You're not worth my energy. Your opinion doesn't register. You're beneath my concern." This infuriates them. They want a reaction. They want to know they affected you. When you give them nothing, you take their power. The Stoics practice this daily. They train themselves to receive insults without flinching, to hear criticism without defending, to watch provocation without engaging, not because they were above emotion, because they chose which emotions deserved expression. This is the practice. When someone tries to provoke you, pause. Ask yourself, does this person's opinion matter to me? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, ask, is what they're saying true? If it's true, thank them and improve. If it's false, ignore it and move on. No defense, no explanation. Ion. No performance. Just the clean choice of whether this deserves your attention. Most of what provokes you doesn't. Most of the judgment you're reacting to comes from people who don't matter to your life. Strangers, acquaintances, people you'll never see again, people who are miserable and looking for company. Why are you giving them space in your head? Your attention is the most valuable resource you have, more valuable than your time, because you can spend time but still be present. Your attention is your life. Where it goes, you go. And right now, you're giving it to people who don't deserve it. Reclaim it. Stop checking what they said about you. Stop defending your choices to people who didn't ask. Stop performing for audiences that will never applaud. Stop seeking validation from people whose validation is worthless. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you selective. You still care deeply about the right things. Your character, your integrity, your growth, the people who matter, the work that means something. But the opinions of the crowd, the judgment of strangers, the provocations of cowards, indifference. Marcus Aurelius practiced this while ruling Rome. People plotted against him, criticized him, spread lies. He wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw the trap and refused it. He governed according to his principles, not their opinions. You can do this in your life. You can stop living for approval. You can stop defending yourself against criticism that doesn't matter. You can stop performing for audiences that don't care. But first, you have to accept something hard. Most people's opinions of you are none of your business. They're not thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're not judging you as harshly as you judge yourself. And even if they are, so what? Their judgment doesn't change your worth. It reveals theirs. Chapter 6. The only peace that lasts. You're looking for peace in the wrong places. You think it's waiting for you somewhere down the line, after you achieve enough, after you fix enough problems, after circumstances finally align, after you get what you want and avoid what you fear. It's not there. It never was. Peace isn't a destination. It's not something you arrive at after you've handled everything. It's something you choose in the middle of everything, right now, in the chaos, in the uncertainty, in the discomfort, or you don't have it at all. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He ruled Rome during constant crisis, war, plague, betrayal, political chaos. If peace required perfect circumstances, he'd never have found it. Instead, he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not the quality of your circumstances, your thoughts." This is the truth most men spend their lives avoiding. You keep thinking, if I just change my situation, I'll be at peace. If I just get the right job, the right relationship, the right amount of money, then I'll finally rest. Then I'll finally be okay. But you've already tested this theory. You've gotten things you wanted. You've achieved goals. You've changed circumstances. And what happened? Brief relief. Then the anxiety returned. The peace you thought you'd find wasn't there. It was just another stop on the same loop of seeking. Because external peace is temporary, always. It depends on things staying good. It depends on you keeping what you have. It depends on nothing going wrong. And things always go wrong eventually. The only peace that lasts is internal. And internal peace doesn't come from having everything. It comes from needing nothing. Not needing different circumstances, not needing specific outcomes, not needing other people to behave a certain way, not needing life to cooperate with your plans. Man, Epictetus put it simply, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This is the path to peace, not controlling more, needing less, not getting what you want, wanting only what you have, not changing circumstances, changing your relationship to circumstances. This sounds passive. It's the most active thing you'll ever do, because it requires you to face the truth about what you've been doing, trading your peace for false promises. The promise that achievement will bring peace. It won't. Achievement brings new problems, new responsibilities, new things to maintain. The goal you're chasing won't complete you. It will just reveal the next gap. The promise that relationships will bring peace. They won't. Relationships bring complexity, vulnerability, uncertainty. The person you think will fix your loneliness might leave, might change, might disappoint you. Tying your peace to another person is tying it to something you can't control. The promise that money will bring peace. It won't. Money brings options, sure, but also new anxieties, new things to protect, new ways to fail, new comparisons to wealthier men. The financial security you're seeking moves the moment you reach it. You already know this. You've seen men with everything who are miserable. You've felt the emptiness after achieving something you wanted. You've experienced the brief high followed by the return of the same old anxiety, just in new clothes. This is the cycle you're stuck in. Seeking peace externally, finding it briefly, losing it inevitably, seeking again, always looking forward to the next thing that will finally fix what's broken inside. Nothing external will fix what's internal. This is the hard truth. The peace you're seeking can't be achieved, earned, or acquired. It can only be chosen, right now, in whatever circumstances you're in, with whatever you have or don't have. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to achieve the perfect future, to enjoy the present, even if the present isn't perfect, even if things aren't resolved, even if you're still building, still working, still facing problems. This is the practice, accepting what is, not what you wish it was, not what it might become, what it actually is right now, in this moment. You're alive, you're breathing, you have this moment. That's enough. Not enough to stop working, not enough to stop improving, but enough to be at peace while you do those things." Most men never learn this. They spend their whole lives postponing peace. After this project, after this promotion, after this problem is solved, always after, never now. They die having never found what they were looking for because they were looking in the wrong place. The wrong place is the future. The right place is now. Peace isn't waiting for you down the road. It's available right now, in this breath, in this moment, in the choice to accept what is while working to improve it, in the decision to be grateful for what you have while building what you want, in the discipline to stop demanding that life be different before you can be okay. This doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you stop tying your peace to outcomes. You work because the work matters, not because completion will finally make you whole. You build because building is meaningful, not because the finished product will solve your internal problems. You love because connection is valuable, not because being loved will validate your worth. The Stoics worked hard. They had ambition. They pursued excellence. But their peace wasn't conditional on achievement. It came from virtue, from knowing they were doing their best with what they had control over and accepting what they didn't. This is the shift why. Our need to make. From conditional peace to unconditional peace. From I'll be okay when to I'm okay now, and I'm also working to improve. These aren't contradictory. You can be at peace and still be building. You can accept your current reality and still be changing it. You can be content and still be ambitious. The difference is, your contentment doesn't depend on your ambition succeeding. You're enough right now, not because you're perfect, not because you've arrived, but because your worth isn't determined by your circumstances. It's determined by your character. And character is always available, always within your control, always something you can improve regardless of external conditions. This is why the Stoics could maintain peace through war, plague, slavery, execution. Not because they were detached from life, because they tied their peace to something that couldn't be taken, their ability to respond with virtue regardless of what happened. You have the same ability. You can be at peace in your current circumstances, not because your circumstances are perfect, but because your peace doesn't depend on them being perfect. The job you don't have yet, you can be at peace while pursuing it. The body you're building, you can be at peace while improving it. The relationship you're in or seeking, you can be at peace regardless of its status. The financial situation you're navigating, you can be at peace while handling it. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of acceptance, the ability to face what is without requiring it to be different before you can be okay. This is hard to accept because you've been conditioned to believe peace is earned through achievement, that you have to prove yourself worthy of rest, that you can't be at peace until you've solved everything. But you'll never solve everything. Life is one problem after another. Solving one reveals the next. This is the nature of existence. If your peace depends on having no problems, you'll never have peace. The Stoic path offers something different: peace amid problems, rest during work, contentment during striving, not because the problems disappear, but because your relationship to them changes. You stop seeing them as obstacles to your peace and start seeing them as life itself. This is it. This is what you get: problems, uncertainty, imperfection, work, challenge. Not later, after you've made it, now, always now. And in that now, you have a choice: resist what is and suffer, or accept what is and be at peace while responding to it. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean you stop trying to improve things. It means you stop pretending things should be different than they are before you're allowed to be okay. Things are exactly as they are. They couldn't be any other way, because if they could, they would be. Everything that has happened had to happen exactly as it did because of every factor that came before it. Fighting this is fighting reality, and reality always wins. The peace you're seeking isn't ahead of you. It's here, available, waiting for you to stop demanding perfect circumstances and start accepting real ones. Waiting for you to stop tying your okayness to outcomes and start building it on something that can't be taken: your character, your effort, your virtue. Marcus Aurelius faced impossible circumstances and found peace by asking one question: am I doing what's mine to do? If yes, peace. If no, adjust and find peace. Never, I'll have peace when circumstances change. Always, I have peace because I'm doing what's mine, regardless of circumstances. This is the only peace that lasts, not circumstantial peace that depends on everything going right. An internal peace that exists regardless of what goes wrong. You can have this, starting now, not after you fix everything, not after you achieve enough, not after life cooperates. Now, in the mess, in the uncertainty, in whatever you're facing. The peace you're seeking is internal. It always was. Stop looking for it externally. Stop postponing it. Stop making it conditional. Choose it, now, with things exactly as they are. That's the only place you'll ever find it. The ancient Stoics predicted your modern anxiety not because they were prophets, but because human nature hasn't changed. 2,000 years ago, men suffered from the same patterns you're experiencing, the same catastrophic thinking, the same attachment to outcomes, the same refusal to accept what they couldn't control, the same endless seeking of external peace. The ancient philosophy that predicted modern anxiety also provided the antidote. The question isn't whether it works. 2,000 years of practice proves it does. The question is whether you'll apply it. Will you keep seeking peace in achievement or find it in character? Will you keep demanding control over outcomes or claim control over your response? Will you keep postponing contentment or choose it now? The path is clear. The principles are proven. The practices are available. What remains is your choice. Make it.